doing, guys? PGZ36 here, and welcome to another tier list ranking. And we're going to be ranking the best Mortal Kombat games. In other words, we're going to be making the best Mortal Kombat tier list. So any other tier lists, get that out of here. So yeah, the Mortal Kombat games have always been one of my favorites ever. So we're going to be doing a ranking on each of them based off popularity, based off control, music, gameplay, and music and sound. All of that stuff will be involved. So yeah, let's get in the ranking. So round 1, fight. So Mortal Kombat 2, quite possibly the best of the original arcade Mortal Kombats. It was such a huge improvement over the first one, and more characters, more bosses. Well, yeah, basically an extra 2 bosses, but the 2 or 1, I don't remember. But it had a better bosses. It had more fatalities, which were absolutely insane, especially ones like Liu Kang's dragon. Oh, it was so good to see it come to life and then just bite the person in half. Oh, it was so good. The music was outstanding. The finisher sound. Finish him. Oh, that's so iconic. The controls, the everything. It's such a great game. Especially the home console ports. They were really good as well. Mortal Kombat Mythology Sub-Zero. There's no denying. It's pretty much one of the worst Mortal Kombat games ever exist. Controls are terrible. Gameplay is questionable. Story is nah. Mortal Kombat Sub-Zero Mythology is terrible. All just terrible. Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance. Overall, I gotta give this one, I'm gonna put this in D. Because honestly, my problem is the combos were really just bland, boring, and the graphics of the game were really unpolished. A lot of them felt really ripped off or unfinished. And the characters each had 1 fatality, which was really dumb compared to every other aside from Mortal Kombat 1, where it has 1 fatality, and the character designs were just could have been better too. I really wish the designs were a bit better. I never really liked the designs in Deadly Alliance. It's just it's a D game, a D tier game. So yeah, but it is the first 3D game, but it could have been better. And that's what Mortal Kombat Deception does. Basically takes Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance and improves it on every single way. Basically, it has more fatalities, a better roster of characters, better character design, more stages, which includes stage fatalities, where also went back to you just knocking off an opponent off the edge. That was really fun. It had a bit more better storyline, I think. Well, maybe not. The arcade mode was great. The final boss was great. Mortal Kombat Deception, quite possibly the best 3D fighter in the Mortal Kombat games, at least for right now. Maybe there'll be an improvement over Deception, but right now it's the best. Mortal Kombat vs. DC Universe. Obviously, I really shouldn't even be calling this game a Mortal Kombat game. It has basically almost no connection with Mortal Kombat at all. It's basically like an earlier version of Injustice, but they add Mortal Kombat to the mix, and it's just terrible. Story mode was okay. I quite enjoyed the story mode, but arcade mode terrible. Gameplay was meh. Stages, boo. Characters were okay. The problem, and everyone knows the main problem with it, it's the gore. There's almost no gore in in the game. Actually, no, I'm wrong. There's completely no gore. There's just like little pounds of blood and stuff. And the fatalities are quite possibly the worst of the bunch. They literally had like some of them just like crack a head or just like jump and land on them. It's just, oh, it's terrible. The worst Mortal Kombat game ever. Mortal Kombat 4. I would say it's definitely, I would give it honestly a C tier. Just honestly, just my opinion. I honestly think it's a good game, an average game. With the 3D, trying to go for 2D, 3D just really didn't work. And honestly, the fatalities were really forgettable in this one as well. Some of them even had just simple like uppercuts and stuff. Went from games like Mortal Kombat 3 where it had major improvements, and this just feels like a more of a ripoff. The graphics, honestly, I gotta say the graphics were terrible. They look so polygonal and muddy. I didn't really enjoy that. It's a good game every once in a while, but I would rather, if there were other games I could play, I would definitely play any other Mortal Kombat games. Mortal Kombat 3. It's not a bad one. It's again another average Mortal Kombat game. The problem is Cabal was broken, characters were unbalanced, the game forgot Scorpion, and it was just a weird introduction into the third one, and it hasn't really aged that well either. Thank God for the ultimate one, which is a much better improvement, which is actually in this tier list, but that's coming up in a minute. But yeah, the original Mortal Kombat 3 just is a unimproved version of Mortal Kombat 2. Mortal Kombat XL. Where do I put this? I want to put it in S tier because I really liked the game. Fatalities were great. Story mode was awesome. Versus arcade were amazing. My problem with Mortal Kombat XL is that most of the fatalities weren't really even that good. In the game, my problem is the graphics. It just has that like this dark, like this extremely dark atmosphere to the background. There's so much darkness around the game. And I really did not enjoy that. Compared to to Mortal Kombat 9, that had much more brighter graphics than XL. I honestly would put it in S tier. Combos were great. The crypt was, I honestly did not like the crypt. It's just felt way too different. I don't know. I just don't like it. And the jump scares weren't really that helpful either. Yeah, there's jump scares in XL. I don't know why. Mortal Kombat Tournament Edition. Basically, Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance, but on Game Boy Advance. Honestly, it's really just a downgrade on the Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance. I know it's Game Boy and it has limitations, but come on, they could actually make it work. I mean, come on. The controls are extremely delayed. The graphics are just a pixelation mess. And the character roster was good, but fatalities were just, and it's just, Mortal Kombat Tournament Edition is bad. It's just bad. It's not an absolute, like, one of the worst games ever, but I would definitely rather play more other games than this. Mortal Kombat Gold. Basically, a much better version of Mortal Kombat Gold. Has more characters, more fatalities, had a bit more stages, and had a bit more better, what's the word? If it's either arcade or stages. I think it was arcade mode. Arcade mode was a bit more better than Mortal Kombat 4. Unfortunately, the graphics were still a bit more bleh, and is just a much more good version of Mortal Kombat 4. It's better, just not. It's not one of the best. Mortal Kombat Complete Edition. Obviously, it's top tier. It basically revived the Mortal Kombat series. It basically remade everything perfect. Story mode, fatalities, characters, stages, gameplay, controls, everything. It even had DLC like Kenshi, Scarlet, and it even had Freddy Krueger and literally Kratos from God of War. How crazy can you literally get? It's just a complete masterpiece. Mortal Kombat Complete Edition, masterpiece. No doubt. Definitely play a story mode. The story mode is really fun. And Versus. Versus is very fun. Also included babalities and stage fatalities too, which were really nice. Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks. Probably the first and actual best solo adventure game where you actually go on a quest to stop Shao Kahn. It's basically Mortal Kombat 1/2 with basically a more action beat 'em up style with it. This is how you do an adventure solo beat 'em up game right. Trolls were great, story mode was good, fatalities were off the hook. It was literally just the best adventure solo game. Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks. Definitely check it out. Mortal Kombat on the Sega Genesis. Obviously, they didn't go with just Mortal Kombat Arcade, which is a complete bummer. But yeah, I'm actually putting it in A tier for me. The reason is because it's not an S tier because, well, I mean, obviously it's just the first one. It doesn't have much. It doesn't have like more characters, more fatalities. Doesn't have much of an improvement, but it can't really be hated. It's the first Mortal Kombat game ever created. It had a good variety of characters, at least 7 of them. Plus, until 8 and 9, if you include Shang Tsung and Goro. Fatalities were probably the most controversial thing ever at the time. I've actually seen, well, I didn't grow up during the time, but I've seen videos of this being controversial on YouTube videos, and it was really crazy. I imagine myself being back in this day. Well, today is not really much. Back in the day, this was literally, holy crap, off the rails. It was incredible. Definitely a masterpiece. Though, definitely not S tier for me. You can complain all you want. You can say I'm not the best. Well, I'm not really the best, but that I'm a boohoo for not putting it S, but I just think it belongs in A. Mortal Kombat Armageddon. I would honestly put this behind, actually, no, I put this in front of Lackluster, in front of Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance. Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance somehow messed up an idea that was absolutely perfect. Basically having almost every single character from Mortal Kombat games at the time come together for an ultimate final battle, and it just completely ruins it. The fatalities were all just custom fatalities, so literally anyone can just rip off a head or tear out a heart, rip off limbs and stuff. There's no customizable to the fatalities. It's really disappointing. And the story mode wasn't really that good. It felt really just like off-putting compared to some of the other games. And overall, it just felt weird. It just didn't feel right. It just felt like a complete mashup of gone terribly wrong. Mortal Kombat Armageddon could have been an absolute great game if they just spent more time on it. And thank God for this. If it weren't for this, this basically would have been the whole series Armageddon. Thanks to this, it saved all that. Mortal Kombat Trilogy. I would honestly put it in front of Gold. This is from the Nintendo 64 version. There's two versions. PS2 and PS1 and the Nintendo 64 version. Playing this on Nintendo 64 just felt a bit less better than on the PlayStation, because on Nintendo 64 the controls just didn't on the Nintendo 64 with the controllers are just not meant for fighting games like this. Trying to tap the right combos, just trying to do moves, it just didn't feel right. It was responsive, but it just wasn't really that good. And it's basically just Mortal Kombat 3 just with more characters. And honestly, on the Nintendo 64, it just didn't, I don't know, it just doesn't feel right to me. I like the game, but it's just not better than it should be. Mortal Kombat Special Forces. That goes behind Sub-Zero, but not behind DC versus Mortal Kombat. This is probably even worse than Sub-Zero. Trolls, gameplay, everything. This is somehow even worse than Mortal Kombat Mythology. Mortal Kombat Special Forces, absolutely trash. Absolutely trash. Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. Quite possibly, in my opinion, the better version of Mortal Kombat 3. It's basically everything that was in the original Mortal Kombat 3 and improved it in every way. It added Scorpion, added more characters, evened out the character balance, gave more fatalities, gave a bit more stages, and the arcade mode was really, really fun. Especially since it had more difficulties like Novice, Harder, Extreme, and Master. And playing with friends is just a blast on this. Again, the graphics weren't really that aged well. It didn't really age good, but it's still a really, really fun game. I definitely would play it. Mortal Kombat Trilogy on the PlayStation 1. Quite possibly at the time, this was literally the best version of Mortal Kombat during the time. It was literally, it had basically every character from the original 3 games. It had better fatalities. Well, basically most of them were the same, except for the new characters. Added a few new specials. Added a lot more other fatality ways. It had animality, friendships, babality, and more stage fatalities, which were really good. While the gameplay is basically just Mortal Kombat 3, just with more characters. It's basically probably the best classic version for playing with friends outside of Mortal Kombat 2 for the classics. It really is I definitely recommend playing this game. And finally, we got Mortal Kombat 11. Believe it or not, I really, really enjoy this game. And some of you, I might surprise a lot of you, but I'm putting this in front of Mortal Kombat 2. Now, this game quite possibly had the worst launch ever. Basically, having it mostly online and stuff, it was just terrible. Actually, I don't know if the launch was really that bad, but the online was just terrible. Having the game mostly online, it just did not go well. But luckily, it made up for custom characters, custom moves. custom designs, custom combos, more characters, has some actual really great DLC, has stage fatalities, better fatalities, a better combo system. Story mode was off the chart, and especially with Ultimate Mortal Kombat 11 had much more characters added to it. And even included characters DLC from movies, Terminator, RoboCop, Rambo, Spawn. How crazy can you get with this game? Like, literally, you can't get more crazy with that. Well, the online was definitely a major disappointment. What it made up for was definitely worthwhile playing. And now we just wait until Mortal Kombat 12 brings us more fun to the series. I can't wait. Hopefully, it'll be even more of a better improvement than these ones. These ones are good, but imagine if Mortal Kombat 12 becomes even better. It would really be good. So guys, that's it. I really think this tier list was outstanding. Let me know in the comments if you agree with me or if you disagree. I'm fine with either of your opinion, but yeah, this tier list was absolutely awesome. I really hope you all enjoyed it. And if you did enjoy it, then feel free to subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to drop a like on this video, and make sure to share this video. Give other people's opinions about this tier list. Because I honestly want to see your opinions. Tell me in the comments below. Really tell me. Also, hope you like, share the video as well. And guys, I hope you all enjoyed it. I hope you all enjoyed this video. And as always, PGZ36. Peace out. And keep it rated. No, have it rated. PGZ36. The gamers. Fatality.